shadow people dance and trade their glance and walk home alone. Staring out the window of the Roosevelt Hotel, watching Midtown empty out and a kiss of farewell. They say we come from nothing and to nothing we'll return, and in between is gravity and bridges left to burn.
Hello guys. As per usual, if someone could type away in chat to let me know if you can hear me and everything. Just getting everything booted up here, doing my tweets to make sure people know I exist. Close this down. Perfect. Generally, I'm going live and I'm just speaking right away, and I notice that there's probably a lot of people who are behind or you know, they're doing their own little wrap up before they go, that kind of stuff. So once I get a little confirmation in chat that everything's good to go, we'll get started. And sound good, video good. Thank you, Keith. Glad someone's always here. So we will start with what happened today, which is to say not a lot. Kind of what we were talking about yesterday, where we figured they're not going to make it easy. You know, we had this. I don't have my pen. Hold on. We had this base. We had this strong gap up. We had this strong hold into a base, and a little doji yesterday. And we were thinking maybe above this area, which would be this area here, we could continue. We opened up and then kind of chopped around most of the day, grinding slowly lower. Again, just frustration here for the bulls that were looking for this to resolve immediately. Looks like, as we were talking about, we might need to back and fill further. So again, as per usual, we're going to be going deep into the overbought, oversold stuff and looking for continuations. Hello, Cream. So again, for anybody new, anybody who doesn't know, I'm going to try to make these rants quick, but what I do as a trader, on top of using some 100% algo type trades, is I use trade ideas to filter everything in the market that is moving all the time to a couple things that I think are interesting based off my overall market view. From there, I plug those into some alert windows. And again, if you're discretionary trading, you can just watch these windows and you know that, okay, these are the stocks that are interesting to you, and here they are doing interesting things. And that would be the end of it. For me, I plug these alert windows into my bot, and it trades it all day automatically without my intervention. So that little speech out of the way. Sorry for the returning people, but you know, there's definitely going to be from time to time a new guy showing up and without any idea what's going on here. So just closing some stuff in the background here. Do that. Does that? Dropping some frames. Hold on. See if I can stop the leak. Don't know what's going on. Hold on here. Just one more second. And video, okay. That seemed to have gotten a little better. Let me know if anything starts messing up on your guys' end. Says we're just kind of dropping frames like crazy, but I can't really see why. So we'll continue to move on, and then again, let me know if there's anything crazy that's disappearing. But so first we'll go through what the robot did today, and then from then we'll go and figure out what we're going to do for tomorrow. Quite often we can take clues from what we've seen today to figure out what's gonna, you know, whether or not we can carry these trades on to the next day, essentially. So if we take a look here with Yum, go through these quickly. These are the trades. If you're new to trade ideas, let me move this. Right here on this column, you'll see the attempted entry price. My robot is going to trade close to that, within a percentage, or within 2 to 3 cents, give or take. There's 1 or 2 trades that happened off screen that aren't on this list. I think only 1, but I'll just type that in. This blue arrow is the entry. I try to risk, you know, about 20 cents to make 50-ish, give or take. So you can kind of just know that that's going to be roughly what the stop loss is. From here, so when we click on Yum, we see, hold on. Oh, that's good. So Yum, we see the entry was at, move this up, at 69.21, push down, bounce back up, and then finally kind of let go later. So good trade on that one. And the takeaway I had yesterday will be the same as the takeaway I had today. You'll see my accuracy was not good today either. However, with 2-to-1 risk rewards and sometimes 3-to-1 risk rewards, that's all that matters. So data, we entered in through here, had a bit of a pullback, and then it just surged higher. So we got stopped out for a small loss there. And MO, the trade of the day, shorted up here in the 60s. I think high 50s is what I ended up getting, and just all day. So we ended up definitely getting our 50 cents there. EA, it looks like damn good earnings here. We had a little pop up and a pullback, and then it just continued higher. So again, it's something you really have to internalize as a trader. Just look at this, right? So if we look at just the shorts, one winner, one loser, one winner, one loser, right? So 4 short trades, 50-50 accuracy, that's it. Made a decent amount of money combined on my shorts, right? Because if I'm making about 50 cents, right, you can combine that to $1, and then I lost about 20 cents per trade, right? Combine that to 40 cents, right? Net 60 cents a trade. 1,000 shares, $600, 100 shares, $60. You can just crunch the numbers like that. STOR, this thing bounced, pulled back. When it bounced again, I was actually in the office around here, so I moved my stop up below this kind of last bounce. When we broke down through it, I was out. It ended up being a little bit of a loss. I believe, I want to say like 10 cents, maybe a little bit less than that. SRPT, this one was fantastic, where it actually just bounced. The entry was at 27, and it went up to pretty much 87, which would have been my exit for most. And then when it pulled back down, I got out the last little bit flat there. AKM, just a do nothing trade, triggered and just chopped sideways all day. So I'll note that. Facebook, just a pure stop out there. But again, right, if we're looking, we'll look at SRPT. The SRPT first entrance was there, so that doesn't happen. So that was, again, only 4 trades. So a flat, a 50-cent winner, a flat, and a 20-cent loser. So can't complain. I want to start cranking my accuracy up a bit. Last 2 days, again, still profitable when you're risking a little bit to make a lot more. But it'd be just nice if I was a little bit better than a coin flip. So that's going to be the goal. So from now, we're going to take the wrap up. And then we're going to scan the stuff that worked yesterday, and then kind of push up from there to look at what's going on for tomorrow, kind of feed the bot for tomorrow. All right, so, one more trade, sorry. There was one more, and I tweeted about this one on CTXS, but again, it was a do-nothing trade. The entry was, we were noting this kind of 86.50 yesterday as support here, and you can see it just kind of, it triggered right here, moved up, pulled back a bit, moved higher, right? Not really enough, right, to trigger my partial, but just kind of chopped around, but did end up getting a couple cents out of that one as well. And that was just from a different strategy. All right, so as per usual, let me show you guys where to build your own symbol lists if you're interested. And again, you can do more than that from this section. You can build your own symbol list, right? Billing info. I'm going to try hard not to click on anything revealing. But again, also your custom formulas, right? If anybody out there with Trade Ideas has a bit of a programming background, maybe you want to check this guy out. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Some of the stuff that we're going to be looking at is made with custom formulas as well. But so I'll be doing this on the other screen, but I'll edit symbol lists. We'll take the short, and we'll start updating that. Then we'll do the long, and then wrap up what we've got and do a nice kind of Q&A after that. So, all right. So looking at the shorts, CVS, that's interesting. This is the kind of pattern that I thought I plugged in, these parabolic moves that reverse, but I guess the bot didn't see that. But I'm going to leave this one back in. The synopsis yesterday was still the same, and that was simply strong move down, bounce on much lower volume, and then resistance in this area. That resistance continues. So let's see if we can get another try and a failure. Or maybe I'll look for some momentum below 81. And by me, I mean the robot. So data I'm gonna put back in, even though it wasn't nice. I still like how every time we try to retake up in this gap, we keep getting pushed down. At some point, I think they're just going to let go and just and let her drop. Triple D, still a lot of resistance up in this area. So the shorts, we can leave this one in. It's great. Some days are really short when you go through and not much has happened and everything kind of is remaining the same. You can leave a lot of the stuff back on the list. MO, I'm not going to go back to that well. I know it's not going to treat me well again. MOH, I'm going to leave back on. Just still, right, this 68 to 67 range after this big strong move. So I think if that cracks, you know, it's not illogical to think we get a nice little push down. That one might be a little bit too much of a mover. We'll see. W had some sort of news. Oh, it actually had earnings, so I missed that in last night's scan. So that was obviously a no-go with a big bounce. Zillow, nothing. Yum, nothing. So let's go in. Let's look at the middle finger scan. And again, this is something I built using trade ideas and custom formulas. And right, it's just looking for this exact candle. And ideally, I like to see, you know, say we had a support area here, right? A crack down through and then like a topping tail there. I like to see them there. I also just like them to see them in these kind of overdone environments. If, you know, we could trace that back to a resistance area a while ago, that's where it'd be interesting. I don't like the gap here, so I'm not going to do it with this one, but just so you know when I'm popping through these quickly, what I'm looking at. A little bit of trend line resistance on this WB. Big strong move from 55 to 60. Nice resistance there at 62. Could I get away with yeah, I could probably get away with that. So we'll add WB in there. If I disappear all of a sudden, the rain's just really, really picked up here. So, things could be getting wacky. I like this topping tail on DV, and we've got big resistance here. I'm just worried that this action today is kind of ugly. Sideways chop. But I am going to put this one on. CRM we're going to add in here too. I like the look of this. Again, one of my favorite patterns is just a fake out. Right? So if you zoom in on this. Come on. right? This is and you ignore today's candle. Right, let me color that out. You know, again, you get these up moves, these dips and continuations. People love these. They love to chase them long. And that looked like what happened today. It had a pretty clear break above that level and then just couldn't do it. So it got back up there. You know, I've used the analogy of the volleyball, right? Slapping down the ball. So quite often I like to see if we can get another bounce, and then if the sellers come back in tomorrow, more likely I think that people kind of give way. So CRM, Salesforce. Not a lot of good-looking topping tails out there so far. Today was a pretty do-nothing day. It was, to be honest, pretty much exactly what I was expecting. Just, let's get everyone in, let's get them all excited, and then let's pull the rug out from under them. You know, not calling it top or anything to the market, but the fact that we're just going to break to new highs like that and continue, the market's not that nice. I'm going to put in NTAP as well. Same kind of setup, right? We had a nice long consolidation triangle here. Good breakout today. They spiked it back down their face and couldn't muster any kind of rally after that. So, you know, a lot of resistance up here. If we fail at this resistance again, you know, people who have kind of gotten in because of this, might bail. So we're already up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Already up to 8. So we really only have room for 2 more. So let me take a look at the overextended lists. And this is just a very simple scan that Trade Ideas has that looks for Bollinger Band, things outside of the Bollinger Bands. So how was everyone else's trading today? They did okay? I gotta do something, man, because again, 50-50. Even though, you know, I should be well satisfied, because they're pulling off amazing risk rewards. It would be nice to have her up in the 60%. I think it was like probably 55% yesterday too, so. Why are some of these things? I don't know how Bollinger Bands work. I think I'm gonna add UAL on here. Yeah, we had a big long move, 70 to 78. It's funny, man. Chat saying, yeah, chop fest with fake outs. Yeah, I heard that. I heard on Twitter a lot of people were saying that. I'd imagine with what the market did, that the intraday trading would be not a lot of fun. That's too much. Alright, I think RH is going to be... Yeah, we've got a bit of resistance over here. You do that to me every time, Trade Ideas. A bit of congestion over here that we're hitting again. Really probably has room till 70. But when we zoom in, you see you've got a lot of topping tails there. RH, and that will be all of our shorts. So we'll go on to the long list now. Quick today, jeez. Facebook, nice bounce, got 35 cents. Facebook. Oh, you get probably in through this area. It's good. Yeah, the bot tried to bounce here, basically trying to get it where it was at the lows of the day. And it did bounce a bit, but then it let go pretty much immediately, so. Twilio. Yeah, Twilio is just kind of lame there. All right, let's take a look at the long ones, see which ones didn't trigger. AKAM, I kind of want to put this one back on, but yeah, let's do it. It was just so lame today. Put this in here so people can see I'm not talking to myself. 10 trades, 6 green, 4 losses. Nice. That's perfect, man. That's all you want. One thing I've learned, I'm going to put CTXS back on as well. It's just still holding that so nicely. One thing to make sure, Keith, which I see far too much in the traders that I mentor. Oh, crap. Speaking of which, I got to get an email. I got to set a reminder. This poor guy emailed me on the weekend. I haven't gotten back to him. All right, I've got that noted. Okay. Yeah, for a lot of people will try to then mess with what you just did and say, okay, well, how do I make it so it's 7 green trades a day and get real excited about that? That's pretty much the best you can do, man. And one book that I suggest that all traders read, Golf Isn't a Game of Perfect. Let's put SKT back on. Right, that's all you need, man. 60% win rate if you're managing your risk reward well. Loving life. I'm gonna put STOR on here still, even though it was not nice to us today. Yeah, that's VIB I'm gonna put on too. Just because it's still holding that resistance. No. Number one rule is to trade small. Trade either works right away. It doesn't. It's good, man. And that's it. So, 60% win rate. That's fine. That's, again, I remember I was listening to this podcast and he was interviewing a poker player and he asked him what his win rate was. And the guy was like 51.3%. And he made millions that year. And I just started laughing. I was like, well, that's trading, right? You just got to irk those odds in your favor. Mike, can you bring back where the bot is trading on its own? If there's lessons to learn, I might put some of those back in there. Some live trading. I've often thought about doing some sort of challenge with this kind of trading. I wanted to get in touch with Trade Ideas and say, listen, why don't you open like a small account with the Trade Ideas IB broker and I'll plug these into it each night and see if we can generate some interest that way into auto trading. But yeah, there's just nothing new with the bot auto trading. It just sits there and does his thing and I update him. So definitely will be some more live trading up on the channel at some point. I might record some of these days at some point, but I'm just kind of enjoying right now the chilling, sitting, scanning, answering questions live, that type of thing. But yeah, after this, the bot will be playing on its own, right? So what I've showed you happened today was just the bot just kind of doing its own thing. I've got meetings all day tomorrow, so I probably won't even look at it. EA's earnings must have been great. All right, so what's the profit loss ratio? Depends on the strategy, right? These that I'm doing, I'm shooting for at least 2 to 1. Going to experiment in the near future, tightening up the stop a bit to see if I can, increase that a little bit more. Just because, right, you should always be trying to improve ever so slowly. And, the trades I showed today were pretty much 50-50 on the nose. Yesterday, I think we were 60% maybe. We're going to add SLB on here. Had this strong push up, pull back. If you look on the intraday, this 72 area seems to be a big deal. Yeah, and I could get away with that for sure. So we'll put in SLB. Yeah, so the profit loss ratio is always in every strategy I run, it's at least 1.5 to 1. Sometimes it can be, it's rare that it's that low, but it can be if the accuracy is just really high. But again, like at all kinds of trading, you should go for at least 2 to 1. You should go for 2 to 1. Yeah. And then again, right, the only thing you ever want to look for, and this is everybody tries to get perfect in this game. If you can snag yourself a 55% win rate and a 2 to 1 risk reward, you're gold. You just got to sit there and do it all day, right? Or get a bot to do it for you or something. Just keep that without trying to push it too hard. This is just, again, if you right click on any scan trade ideas, you can configure, you can hit flip. So all I did is flip that scan. We were looking for things short. Now looking for oversold stuff for a long. So yeah, it all depends on the strategy, the win rate. I've got some strategies that have 5 to 1 risk reward and are kind of 50-50. And then I've got ones that are near 70% win rate. And they're near, 1.5 to 1 risk reward. So, WRLD. Yeah, again, I try to stay away from earnings. Stops on that are you couldn't get away with less than like a 50-cent stop either. It's not quite what I'm looking for, but did go today. Yeah, so make sure when you're looking at win percentage, you're always looking at the other side. Looking at just win percentage and not risk reward would be like looking at, the income side of your household budget without looking at what you're spending, right? One side is completely irrelevant without the other. Triple N, we're going to put this guy on here. Nice oversold sale here, right, all the way down, and then nice kind of base we put in intraday here. So if I can get in near 38.50 and then push up, that'd be fantastic. So we got room for 3 more, so we'll probably bring up the short squeeze rate. Keith asks, not that it's matter, I'm just curious, do you trade the size with the bot you would trade yourself? Yeah, I would say. This is what I personally do and what I recommend to our traders. So the prop firm that I partner with is a P&L firm, right? So you don't bring in any risk deposit or anything like that. You come, you pay a bit of money for like admin and training, and then you start off with a paper account. And if that goes well, then you go to a live account, and then you start off with just a tiny daily risk, and then we increase your risk as you show profits. So what I always tell people to do is sizing. How I size myself is I look at whatever my daily stop is at that time, and it fluctuates. So how it works with the firm is it uses kind of just a bit of a math equation. You know, it takes what your earnings were over the past couple weeks, and it says, okay, this is what I think you have the potential to earn, therefore this is the stop loss I'm assigning it to. So since the stop loss will fluctuate with good days and bad days and that type of thing, I do the same thing where I fluctuate the size so that my risk is about a third of whatever the daily stop is. So if I hit 3 losers right in a row, then that's it. I'm done for the day. I'm not reading something right. You know, I completely was wrong about what I thought the market would do, that type of thing. So a consistent size like that should be based off of what your daily stop is. And if you don't have a daily stop, regardless of whether you're a prop firm or whatever, you absolutely have to. So put something in place that says if I lose X amount of dollars for the day, that's when I'm out. You know, from there it's just simply, okay, I've made, you know, makes sense to do something like, if you're setting your own daily stop, you know, start at like $100, right? If I lose $100, I'm done for the day. When you have kind of 10 days of consistent profits, you know, say that most of those 10 days you're making more around or more than $100, and you know, you only have a couple losing days, maybe one, maybe say 2 to 3 over 10 days. Then you say, okay, well, now I'm going to up my risk to 150. So going with the 30%, right, you're risking $30 a trade. Now that you're up to 150, you're risking $50 a day. Then you do that for a couple weeks, and then maybe say, okay, I'm going to up my daily stop loss to 200, right, and so on and so forth, right, up until you're comfortable, right? But it should all be kind of a percentage of risk. So again, I look at it and I say, if I lose 3 consecutive trades in a row, I'm not reading something right, or you know, something's messed up with the bot, or I'm just off. And then I'll just say, okay, well, that's it. Shut that down. Come back tomorrow. Yes, that's how I size up, basically. It has nothing to do with kind of what I'm comfortable with or what I think or blah, blah, blah. This is my daily risk. This is 1/3 of that. You know, say I'm risking 20 cents. Let's use just the example I just used, right? Your daily risk is $100. You're risking $30 a trade. Your stop is 30 cents away, just to make my simple brain a little bit easier to comprehend at the end of the day, right? So you would just trade 100 shares. You know what your size is. When that stop moves to $50 or $60, you say, okay, now I trade 200 shares, right? Very systematic. And then at the same time, you have a system to size yourself up. You need to develop a system to size yourself down. Because, again, regardless of what you do in this game, I hate to be the guy to say it to you, but at some point things won't work for whatever reason. Right? So have a system to size up and have a system to size down. Very important. Oh, so you don't trade aside from your bot? No, I learned a while ago that my strengths lie in this kind of stuff, strategy development, that type of thing. Also, what was happening is I was spending a couple hours a night building these lists, building new scans, blah, 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 and then trading all day alongside my bot, right? I only had enough kind of mental bandwidth to go around. So I found myself just drawn out and dead, right? You get up in the morning, you check all your scans, make sure everything works, you trade all day long, and then at night I would spend time building and back testing and blah, blah, blah. And it was just, turning into 12, 14-hour days. And all of it suffered accordingly, right? I was even, the YouTube videos suffered, and the trading that I was doing suffered, and then I was keeping up on the bots a little less, so that suffered. So a decision just had to be made, and the bot intraday is better than me, so that was it. All right, let's see. Not so much that I think it's dangerous. It's more just, I think people should always play to their strength, right? I would argue that it takes the same amount of time whether you're algo trading or whether you're human trading, because you should know to trade. You should know how to trade first, is what I always tell everybody. Because again, there's simple trade principles that I find people who hop right into the algo side sometimes get lost. Come on, where's the... That's what I wanted. So yeah, it's not really about danger. It's just about what is my strength? What do I think my edge is over all the other traders? Oh, that's unfortunate. Look at this fossil. Looked like a nice clean breakout above this resistance, and then that. So now we're trading down here somewhere. That's a shame. That's unfortunate. I just know that there's probably a lot of people who got in here and didn't think that there was earnings. And right, it's just such a pretty tech. Whenever I say the market doesn't make it easy on you, this is exactly what I mean, right? You read any technical analysis textbook, you got this beautiful descending triangle, lots of room, right? Tight stop, great looking trade. And then it does that to you. Just because you didn't see that earnings were the night. And I'm sure it happened to someone, and that's unfortunate. This trend change lubricant, let me share this with you. If you've been following trade ideas for any length of time, that's something that Dan made. It's basically just looking for this pattern of a long base of something that is sold off dramatically. And quite often, you get stuff like these with a little bit of momentum, right? They can continue higher. So we built a long list with 7 symbols on it, all kind of support revision to the mean. So I'm just kind of scanning these couple lists to see if there's anything in kind of that breakout type category. Again, just trying to diversify what I'm trying to play, right? But nothing from there. What else do I have? This scan's kind of looking for oversold type of stock. So it's just basically sorting the market by consecutive days, right? You can see CLVS has been down 8 days in a row. Putting in a nice little area here. C4. So yeah, just probably stops too wide. Yeah, Fossil must had bad earnings. And that's Fossil the watchmaker, I think. Oh, sorry. Are you biased long or short? No, we'll make a list of 10 longs and 10 shorts and let the bot battle it out. Usually what will happen is I'll get a bunch of longs and shorts at trigger. The longs will get stopped out fairly quickly and the shorts will continue, or vice versa. So it's only on incredibly whippy days do multiple sides kind of take a hit. It can happen. But no, I try to stay on both sides because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And anybody who tells you they do is just completely and utterly full of shit. So same with my algos. Every time I build, like if I build a revision to the mean, these are just the biggest losers on the week here. Let's put some volume in here. Yeah, if I make a long strategy, I then try to make a short strategy as well. Do you ever use the daily candle scan? What daily candle scan are you talking about? There's lots. You know, all of these that I made are kind of designing the yeah, so these are all using daily candles to scan, right? So again, the thing with TradeID is you can get whatever you want out of it. There's so much in there. So I don't know exactly what you're looking for on the daily. BRY. I'm going to put this D now in. This is one of the weirdest charts I've seen in a while with these, right? 100%, 100%, inside day, but I'm just seeing a lot of kind of support around 17 here. So if we can get a pullback into it and a bounce, a lot of, right, tons of room to go. So good, decent volume, nice stop, nice volume. Or nice average true range. Let's put QCOM in there. So we had a nice push higher here, and we've just been kind of basing sideways. Basically all I'm looking at there is just that daily chart pattern. Great volume, right? Great start stop. Great average true range. Oh, only one more. Interesting. Yeah, Keith, so if you've got a scan, if you got something that you like, I'll definitely take a look at it. McCree got some movement there. ADVE looked good, but we obviously have got, must be an earnings or news or something popped us up, so no longer interested there. And there's that IPHI that was mean to us yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I think we bought it in here somewhere. Moved up, came back and just chopped, I think. And then yeah, I left it off the list, and of course the next day it does what we want, but it's just the nature of it. You know, not only have to be right on direction, you got to be right on time. And Zen, I think, is going to be our last one. I like that we gap down. Didn't really show much weakness, right? We moved down a little bit the day before, but we're still holding this base. So if the shorts are getting a bit too uppity down here and the longs kind of push this up tomorrow, there could be some covering because it does have a long way to go to fill the gap. I just think areas here might be a little interesting. So that is got to be the quickest one so far. So we'll summarize this. You guys start asking your questions. And again, I'm going to keep doing these as long as I can. Well, like tomorrow I got a bunch of meetings, so I might not be able to. So I'm not going to promise that I'm going to make them. But as long as people keep watching them and, again, so if whatever content it is you like, make sure you share around and stuff. Because, again, all I can do, I've made a couple hundred videos. I had to have by now. And I can't go through all of them, so I just look at my analytics page and say, okay, what are people watching? Let's do more of that. All right, so the short side here, CRM. We like this little topping tail, this fake out, pushed higher, kind of looked like a nice breakout, got slapped back down. Love that kind of look. CVS. Strong move down, continuation higher, and then we keep getting resistance up at this kind of 81.25 area. So I think they might give it up, push her down. Data, nothing really but selling after this gap up, right? Every time they try to push it higher, there's a lot of resistance kind of up in this area and right here as well. So below this 60, we could sell into the gap a little bit. Triple D, just a pure overextended look. Same with DV. Kind of worried about what this intraday chart looks like, but we'll see. MOH, again, a choppy intraday chart, but just a lot of resistance up here. And this $68 area has been kind of a stopping ground. NTAP, a break of kind of like we were looking on CVS, right? A break of a textbook pattern and a push back into it constitutes a failure. I love failure. Again, Brian Shannon, who I'm sure I've told you guys about before, he'd always say from failed moves come fast moves, and I find that to be true as well. Just an overdone move here in RH with resistance up here. We got some support here, right? Decent numbers on this side too, so I'm gonna take a look at that. UAL, I need to do a follow-up to whatever. I think it was on, I forget, must have been on Twitter where I made that post right here saying, hey, it's not, or was it, wait, here, where the news came out? And I said, this isn't the end of the stock, don't short it. Everyone on my feed was, oh, UAL is done for, and, right? No, it's not. They don't care. For people who trade, oh, there was someone yesterday who was saying, oh, you're buying something with bad news. Does that really bother you? No. And this is why, right? How much worse news do you get than like a video that gets 20 million hits of you beating the shit out of a customer? And the thing is just ripping. So, if you think news moves the market, I have news for you. WB, we noticed a bit of trend line resistance from like back here. And just kind of a strong move up. Nice resistance on the intraday. So for the longs, AKAM, oversold. I think we noted this as an area yesterday. Just choppy sideways crap today, but hopefully maybe a little bit better tomorrow. CTXS was a decent trader today, but more importantly, still found support, that kind of 86.50. So let's keep playing off of that. DNOW is just a weird ass looking chart. But, right, up, and if we get a move up to this 18 and through it, maybe we keep going. You guys can see I'm looking a little bit more on the momentum side of the longs. just in case, right? We are holding kind of high and tight to this resistance, so I think the odds are a little higher of a push up. Triple N, simple oversold down to this area. QCOM, 100% looking at the daily on this with this strong move up, nice tight sideways base, and still a fair amount of room for an intraday trader to get up to here. SKT, oversold, bottoming tail. SLB, same kind of thing as QCOM, where we're just looking at the daily here, seeing a flag, also, a bit of support here at 72. STOR, simple oversold play. Viacom, still technically oversold, and they're just holding this 36 strong. That would have been a super cool entry today if we, in this candle, right? I guess that wouldn't have been enough to take out, but that's okay. And Zen, gap down, sell off, holding strong at this prior resistance. Push higher, people might give up. So that's our list. That is 57 minutes, and I am done. Probably won't even watch tomorrow. Again, got a lot of stuff going on, so I will open up to questions if you got anything. Keith, I didn't see that scan. I don't know if I missed it. I don't know if anyone's here or if anyone can hear me. Hello, internet. Yeah, that was quick, so I've got time. If anyone's got any questions, we can sit back, shoot the shit about things. If not, I'll try to make it on tomorrow, depending on how everything I'm doing goes. What time it's all over, that type of thing. And here in Canada, we like to have our meetings at pubs, and quite often they can go a lot longer than they should. You're meeting at someone at 3, and then it turns out that it's 10 o'clock at night by the time you get home because you just ended up drinking too much and shooting the shit all night. So is chat broken, or is there just no questions at all? Just refreshing it here. No, I guess not. I will wait. There we go. If Holly initiated a trade and I don't like the setup, what would I do? Nothing. Right? Again, a lot of people believe, and I don't know why, because I've paid attention and they've never said it, that this is, oops, damn it, supposed to be some kind of a black box type of system. It's not, right? It's supposed to be a scan and a tool like any other, where, right, this presents to you a trade and you click on it and you see, okay, does that trade meet my criteria? Is that something that I like to look at? If so, take it. If not, don't, right? If you're looking for if you're thinking that algo trading or statistics or something like this is going to completely replace you as a trader and just be a robot, a license to print money, you got to find another job, man. So I would just not do anything, right? Every single one of these trades I will look at and I will say, okay, is this something that interests me? Again, I don't do a lot of intraday trading. When I do, it's quite often with just Holly. If I was watching this one, for example, I might be interested here, right? As an intraday Momo trade, we had a lot of momentum in our favor. We had strong resistance here. It's alerting right here as it's breaking out. And the cool thing about it is you have a whole half hour while this thing pulled back down to that area before it bounced. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of profit there, but it's always up to you to figure out what it is you want to see. So yeah, if I like it, I'll see it, or if I like it, I'd trade it, and if I don't like it, I won't trade it. What I would do for someone who's trading Holly is to develop some parameters, right? Okay, what is it that I like to see? What is it that you want to take a look at, and build yourself a checklist. And when a Holly trade comes through, if it checks all those boxes, like what's the volume you want to see? What's the do you like Momo plays or pullback plays, right? Because I know it's got a bit of everything, right? Do you like longs or shorts? Well, what is this? And then when you see a Holly trade come through, just start ticking boxes and, say to yourself, okay, and if I can't tick 5 boxes, then I'm just not going to trade it. There's a good book called The Checklist Manifesto, which is phenomenal. It's about a doctor who was doing all these stats on people that were dying because of surgery fuck-ups. And what he found is it wasn't so much like the richest countries out there, the countries with the best education or anything like this that had a reduced number, is that he could basically teach to anybody how to have a reduced number of these screw-ups that were causing, death and disfigurement and all this stuff. And it was just basic checklist, right? Having someone read a basic checklist. And he kind of explains about how the human brain is real crap at that. Like, we've all gone to the grocery store with a list in our head and we've come home and missed something. And unless you're using like mnemonics or memory palaces or something like that to remember all your stuff, the brain's bad at it. So, I recommend that book, and then I recommend anyone who's in a situation of I don't know what to do, you just sound like you grab a checklist, right, and go through it. But again, I would definitely always remember that everything in Trade Ideas and every other software you buy is just a tool, right? The robot that auto trades for me is just a tool. Is just a tool to do my bidding, right? Everything else comes from my blood, sweat, and tears, right? Just because I don't have to be there tomorrow doesn't mean I haven't spent, hundreds or thousands of hours looking at charts, back testing statistics, figuring out what works, what it is that I like, what gels with my personality, that type of thing, right? So that is a very long-winded answer to a question that is, if I see something and I don't like it, I'm just not going to trade it. And when you're doing that, you're going to have to just be okay in your mind that might be the best one of the day. The one that you looked at and said, I don't like that. That might be the best damn trade the entire day. You're just going to have to be okay with that, right? There's just nothing you can do. So you just got to get over it. So hope that answered it. Again, any more questions, let me know. I think that's a big part of this thing is the questions that you get. One thing I thought I would do more of, and I might, is looking at these trades for stuff the next day. Like this WBIA, it didn't do too much intraday, right? Gave you a nice little scalp higher, but really overdone. So these might be a good list of things just to keep an eye on. Like this OPTT that was getting nuts earlier. Could get today. I'm really not a big fan of those low float guys, though. If you were a swing trader, that INFI, that looks real interesting. Could be kind of second bottoming out, push higher, gets back to 3, that'd be a hell of a percentage return. What one thing would you tell yourself as a new trader that you now know today? Jeez, Keith, we're going deep. It's a lot harder than you think it is. And I think that's something that all of us can agree on. That, we took a look at it and we said, okay, you just press some buttons and, things are flashing red and green. That type of thing. So that would be a big one. It's a lot harder than you think it is. Dig deep. The second is stop studying charts, stop studying new setups, stop trying to learn about the perfect. I spent so much time going over charts with, right? Well, what about a stochastic? What about an RSI? What about Bollinger Bands? What about ascending triangles? What about tweezer bottoms? What about trying to find the perfect setup? And realize that it's not about that at all. What it's about is a slight edge and really, really managing your risk. And that's it. I think that would be the biggest thing, is stop looking at, right? Because I would go to like 3 webinars a day sometimes on different people teaching me technical analysis. And I guess absorbing that information is good. But I just thought, right, I need to be right. How do I get right on more trades more often? How do I get right on more trades more often? And again, you guys saw, like a 52% win rate today and a 60% win rate yesterday, and that's it, right? So it turns out that hunt for years and years and years and years really didn't get me anywhere. What really turned the corner is just saying, if it doesn't work, get rid of it. If it works, let it go. Try to get at least 2 to 1. Try to go 3 to 1, 4 to 1. Again, I'm thinking of trying to reduce my risk from 25 cents to 15 cents. And then if I keep like a 60-cent win, now we're talking like a 4 to 1. So stuff, and again, I'm doing that by paper trading. What would happen with these different stop and profit parameters? I've been doing it for about a week, and then kind of going, I'll do that for 2 weeks or so, and then we'll see if I can really push it. Because then I only need a 25% win rate to be profitable. So I think that would be the biggest thing, is don't follow others on how to find the perfect setup. Find one setup that you like and just do that thing, and make sure that you're always managing your risk. And that's it, I guess. Was that like 5 things? Did you say one thing? And I say 5 things? One thing would have to be don't worry about being right. Worry about not losing a shit ton of money when you're wrong, I guess would be my answer. So earnings continuation for stocks that gapped up or down would be a good strategy. Based off what is it a good strategy? And again, I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but I always worry about traders that use definitive language. And this is, again, I'm as far of a hippie as you've probably ever seen. And not that far. I don't believe in like crystals and shit like that. But, I go to float tanks and isolation. I meditate every day. I do some stuff that will be legal in Canada soon. And everybody I notice who speaks in a definitive language as a trader hasn't developed that kind of Zen style attitude that all the gurus have, right? So again, I'm going to talk a bit existentially, but if in your head you're saying earnings continuation for stocks that gapped up or down would be a good strategy, in your head, even though you might be thinking could be a good strategy, but the way you said it is going to reaffirm in your head that it is a good strategy. And if it was, and it was that simple, you wouldn't know about it, right? I always say this. If something is definitive within the market, you'll never hear about it. I always give the example of the guy who made the Black-Scholes model, which we use now to price options. I have a couple post-secondary degrees in derivative trading analysis. And he created the Black-Scholes model. Oh, bad connection. Hold on here. And we'll unmute. And you might need to reset on your end too. I'm sorry, but thanks for pointing out if the sound does go out. So basically, this guy created a model for pricing options and decided not to tell anybody ever. And the guy who finally finished the model is known as Black-Scholes, right? So he didn't do anything. The Black-Scholes guy wasn't the first, but was the guy who was the first, just sat back and made millions and millions and millions of dollars trading this thing. So you always need to avoid speaking in absolutes because it's going to tell your brain that you know something, and you don't. I don't, right? Now, if you think that earnings continuation for stocks that gapped up or down would be a good strategy, get a back testing program and test it, right? Like here. The girlfriend's out for a bit late, so let's do this. Let's actually look at stocks that are making a new high, that reported earnings. Reported earnings yesterday night or this morning that, I don't know, are trading 500,000 shares between, I don't know, $1 and $100. And let's earnings continuation. Oh, and they had to have gapped. So gap. That have gapped up, I don't know, 1% at least. So these are things that are gapping up on earnings, and we're going to look for continuation. Again, with trade ideas, you can backtest the strategy, and you can say, okay, well, what if I bought all of them that did it, and I held for, I don't know, an hour, and I'm going to risk 50 cents to make $1, and let's see what would have happened over the last 3 months. And trade idea is now going back and it's checking and saying, okay, every time a stock has continuation after earnings, you can see you're right 44% of the time. If you traded 100 shares and the 100 shares cost you $1 in commission, and then you got 0.1 cent slippage on each side, you would turn your $100,000 into 100,260. So you would have made $260, right? So there could be something here, right? You might want to go in and start hammering around with these, but don't just assume, we have the tools, right? So, there may be something here. I actually have a little earnings pop play. You can see you would have had to have been able to sit through this kind of week and a half period where you did nothing but lose money. And then this almost a month here where you just lost money. And then you would have made some money here, right? So we have the power. And I guess that's two lessons I guess I'm trying to give from this. One, never speak in absolute terms, right? You'll hear me say things like, oh, if we do this, if I like that CVS is, pulling up after this breakdown and it's, got this resistance here. So if we get up there, maybe we can continue lower, right? So be very careful on the actual terminology, right? No, brainstorming is fine, but again, what you said was earnings continuation for stocks that gapped up or down would be a good strategy, meaning that you knew that there was some sort of edge that if a stock gaps down and continues, that it's going to be a good strategy for short. And I just proved that it's wrong more often than it's right. You'd be better off looking for stops that gap down and buying them, right? Because that was 44% of the time it was right when you were doing the other way around. So be careful with your language. Not for me, I don't care. You can say whatever you want in here, but for yourself, right? You need to constantly be reminding yourself that you don't know anything and that you'll never know anything. I changed my answer, Keith. That's my answer. What would I tell a new trader that I know now that a new trader is that you will never know anything. As long as you're trading, you will never know anything. And that if I ever thought that I knew something, that that just reminder, right? Where you walk behind a new trader and he's like, I'm finally starting to figure it out. And I just say, no, you're not. You never will. And you don't have to, I guess, is the important caveat to that. You can walk in every day and you can be wrong more often than you're right. If you keep that risk tiny, that's all that matters. So, yeah. So again, Sublime, I didn't mean to pick on you. I just wanted, just be careful with that language. Constantly be telling yourself that things that you want XYZ to happen because you think there is a greater chance that this happens. And what happens is that change in language will actually help you take your stops more, right? The worst thing you can do is sit down and think you know something, because then when you're proven wrong, it's going to be harder to hit that. It's going to be harder to hit that stop button. If you go into every trade saying, I don't know what's going to happen, then it's it's more likely that you're going to say, okay, I was wrong that time, and hit that button, right? And I've seen that a lot with people that I mentor, where they just have a hard time punching out of a position, and they get really attached to positions that they have, and I'm like, that's not right. That's not really what you're after. What you're after is simply having an opinion of something that you think has a higher chance of happening than not, taking the trade and knowing exactly when you're wrong. So I don't know if that's a problem you have, but again, just drawing parallels to other traders that I see. He says he would tell himself pain is the best teacher. If you don't lose, you won't learn, and that's it. I always said the same thing, is I would get stopped out when I traded back at the prop firm at the desk. I still get stopped out of my prop firm now, right? It's going to happen. It's just the nature of trading. You're going to have bad days, but the goal I always had was, okay, that sucked. What's one thing I can take away from it? And I think that's big, is the one thing a day. We try to do too much as traders, but if at the end of every trading day you can take a look and you can say, okay, what is the one thing that I can take away for something that I can put in action tomorrow? Then after a year, right, that's 300 things. I was much meaner to myself, I think, than you were, Keith. I was very angry at myself when I would do bad things. The best thing I ever did is just let go. Okay, Mike, you ignored the stop, or you doubled down in a position that was against you. You got slapped real hard. Just time to not let it happen again instead of getting angry. So, all right, keep the questions coming, because when we're done here, I got to start cooking up supper. That was one of the quickest scans. We got it all done under an hour, which is good. That's a good work day. All right, guys, just another minute, and if there are no questions, I'll be taking off. Maybe on tomorrow again, depending on my meetings. Shouldn't go past 5, which is when the market closes for me, but you never know. No, there was the question is, did you add anything to the scans this morning? And if so, what was the reason? No, I didn't. If I do, what I will do sometimes is I'll come through and I'll scan. So you can see I have pre-market data and post-market. With Trade Ideas, the blue is the pre and the pink is the post. And I'll go scan through, and I didn't today. But if I did, we were looking at W. And you can see that if I was looking at that this morning, it was obviously, earnings or something popped this thing way up. So I probably would have removed this and then added another, if I could, right, go through and say, okay, well, I'm missing one short, let me add one short in. I've thought about doing this kind of RoboCop, which is what the programmers are calling it, kind of trading where it's, half man, half machine. I've thought about doing it with gaps, but again, I haven't been able to find a strategy that works consistently with gaps. They're just a bit too wild, I think. There's a lot of chop in them. If you're scalping on like a short time frame, I think they can be fantastic, but I'm more, the bot's taking it's taking long times, so it's a bit different. So no, I didn't add anything. Yes, I will sometimes, and again, it will usually just be, scan through, see if there are earnings within the next day or so, and yeah, so I'm just taking a look. I don't see anything with earnings, but if there was something that had earnings tomorrow, and then I came in and two of my shorts were now gone because they were gapping up or gapping down, and again the bot ignores those. Then I would remove those, and then I would look for things to add to replace them, if I could. If not, I would just remove them entirely. And if I don't, again, the bot removes them because they're just not outside of the area in which I tell it to act. Sublime says, if you broadcast the bot trading live, that would be great. There's a lot of that on the YouTube channel. Again, I wrap up here what happened every day. You can see it all, right? I told you, right? Short it right here, covered in through here, right? Stop would have been above this little area. I might do more of that. I did a lot of it back when Ticker TV was a thing. It was just a lot of a pain in the ass for someone like me who just fucks off a lot of the day. I don't really want to leave my computer on with a bunch of people watching it. But, if I have a couple days where I know I'm going to be here all day, maybe that's something I'll look into. The other thing, too, is that streaming is kind of hard on the bandwidth. So I worry that my fills might be delayed by a few seconds if I'm constantly streaming at a high bit rate, which I try to do to make these things look good. But I note it, I note it. You want to see more live action. I would argue that that's probably the least educational stuff out there. The most educational is stuff like this where you get to sit down and ask questions. But one thing I'll say is what I'm doing should be irrelevant to you, right? It should be, what does your trading plan say? If you don't have a written trading plan that says enter here, exit here, here's your stop, right? Here's your target. Don't trade tomorrow, right? Sit down and do that first. For the love of God, you'll thank me later. But what I might do, and what I liked a bit better, and I might do with this, again, I'm thinking about it, where I go to Trade Ideas and say, listen, open up a small account, plug the symbols I want in with these algos, and maybe we'll record it daily, and then they can, because Trade Ideas has their own robot, and they could say, hey, look, this is what the robot could do, or something like that. But I may record a day trading and then time lapse it the way I've done before. That's a little bit better than just turning the stream on for 12 hours and not being here, hoping nothing pops up on my computer I don't want you guys to see. So, alright guys, I'll leave her open for another minute or so for more questions, and if there's nothing, I'll take off and possibly on tomorrow. If not tomorrow, most likely on Thursday. And as always, if anyone's showing up late or whatever, or you want to share these with your friends or your grandma and tell her how awesome I am on YouTube, these things are up generally, I'd say, like an hour or so after I hit the stop streaming button. And, the best thing you can always do is share those around. You just need to remember to update the little screenshot dealie. Alright guys, I guess that is the end of the questions. Stay safe out there. Again, just one more chat about the market. I think the chances are we could push higher, but I don't think the market's going to make it that easy. So be careful. Be aware. I think we're going to get a lot of chop the next few days, which is going to make trading harder. So keep her small, keep her tight. Don't lose your shirt. And I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. Following me on Twitter is always the best bet. I'll always tweet out like an hour before I go live, and then 15 minutes, and then when I'm live. And then we'll probably do that thing where we just play a song first and let people mosey on in so they don't come in halfway through. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow or maybe the next day. Keep it real.